school.
Yeah, old school.
My brother Ashley Henson, Mark Lambert here, sweet son of mine, distributing Test Kitchen. What's more old school than gravy and biscuits?
I can't tell you a whole lot.
Son, I'm telling you, gravy and biscuits is one of my favorite things in the whole wide world.
Yeah.
And it's something that my mama made really good, my grandma made really good, and it's just one of them things that's just comfort in my book.
Yes, sir. It is, and it's a little cool tonight, and that's some of that stick to your ribs kind of food. So I'm super excited about this. So
Last time we made, well, time before last, we made chicken sausage.
yeah,
And if you guys have never had chicken sausage, if you make it yourself, it's legit. But you can, if you don't make sausage, then you can go to the store and buy Delilah's chicken sausage. Usually in the frozen section, not in the regular meat section. But frozen meat. It's called Delilah's chicken sausage. You can use pork sausage for this recipe, but we make our own chicken sausage, so we're using our chicken sausage that we made, and we just got a pound of chicken sausage. And if you're saying, oh, chicken sausage, well, let me tell you, in here, you don't know the difference. And it's just what we learned, what I've learned to use. It's what I like to eat. It's got fewer calories, and it's just as good, and it's less expensive. So we're doing chicken sausage tonight, and we're just going to brown it in a skillet.
man, I'm telling you, my wife loved the chicken sausage I brought home. Never had it before, and I patted it up, make an egg sandwich with it. Ooh, son, I call it chicken two-way.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna brown this off for some gravy here in a little bit. And Mark, let me ask you, like you said, your mom, your grandma made biscuits. My grandmother made biscuits, but she didn't make a sandwich biscuit.
Yep. It's more of a crumbly biscuit.
It was more of a crumbly biscuit, but man, she was making some gravy.
What they call them in Europe is scones.
Oh yeah. Well, I didn't know.
Or yeah, it would be more along the line of a scone, or what do they call the other one? Not a scone, but a they call them tea biscuits sometimes.
Yeah. But you know they call biscuits cookies. I mean, like they call cookies biscuits. So I don't know. I don't know. I get confused. Everybody talking
Crumpets.
about crumpets.
Crumpets is another one.
Yeah.
Crumpets and tea, but that's a batter.
That's right.
That's a batter it's got a lot of baking soda in it, and it pours a batter in it. It's kind of a cross between a muffin, an English muffin, and a biscuit.
Okay.
Along those lines. But a lot of times scones are more crumbly. That's what I think of anyway.
And so my grandmother liked. We made sausage gravy or regular milk gravy, red eye gravy, chocolate gravy. Was one of her favorite things there. So
this is just the first of many gravy.
We'll have a gravy line,
We're
like
gonna
a
have
gravy series.
This is going to be a gravy series. This
Yeah.
is one of the series of gravies, and this one my grandma and my grandpa called it sawmill gravy
Sawmill gravy.
because it had lots of little bits that looked like sawdust.
Yeah.
From whatever you cooked, little bits and pieces that looked like sawdust in there.
Yeah.
So it was sawmill gravy. You got that sawdust in there.
It pulled all the seasoning off at bottom of that pan.
Yeah. Yeah.
You scrape that good.
And I didn't make gravy like this until 10 years ago probably.
Yeah.
We used to fry sausage patties, and then we would put flour in the grease from the sausage patties.
Yeah.
And then I would make a regular gravy, and then I'd break it up in there. Well, one day I had crumbled up a bunch of sausage and had it left over from, I don't know what I made in it, but I had crumbled up sausage.
Yeah.
And I threw it back in there, and I just said, well, heck, I just sprinkled in a little flour and let it cook a little bit, and then just added I don't know what I did. I cooked it on a griddle, and I was doing omelets.
I got you.
And so I just took that leftover crumbled sausage, and I threw it in a half pan, because I had it on the griddle, and then I just added me some milk to it, stirred it up, and it worked out.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it worked out. The biscuits, y'all, I didn't grow up with Mama making homemade biscuits. She made white biscuits, so did my grandma, my granny.
My granddaddy liked, my grandmother would make homemade biscuits, but my granddaddy liked wok can biscuits too, because he put a piece of bologna or all that kind of stuff in there.
So I didn't get this biscuit bug for a long time. Man, I had I always grew up on white biscuits, and I still like them.
Yeah.
And I use them. But I tell you, I've learned how to.
Pillsbury Grand does it pretty good now.
Yep. So one day I had a biscuit mix we got out of a gift pack that was given to my wife. It was from the Loveless Cafe, and it had this
Outside of
biscuit mix.
Nashville, right?
Yeah, like Dixon area somewhere.
Yeah.
And we made it according to directions, and it's like, wow, I made homemade biscuits. Well, not really, but they were good. And I'm gonna figure out how to do it for real.
Uh-huh.
So I watched all these YouTube videos and asked everybody I knew how to make biscuits, and
What, you can learn something on YouTube?
shoot.
Man.
So I found out some people like King Arthur flour, some like white lily flour, some like gold medal, some like Shawnee meal. Depending on where you're from, that's kind of what people like.
That's right.
Man, I've said I like gold medal, I like Shawnee, I like white lily. I think they're all just fine. You just have to alter your method a little bit. This is white lily we're using today, so use all-purpose flour. You can use all-purpose flour in your gravy too. We've got some this is self-rising flour.
Yeah.
So you got to have self-rising flour for your biscuits. You can use self-rising in your gravy if that's what you got. If you've got all-purpose, that's really all you have to have in your gravy. So
Now, just for people that doesn't know, tell me, what's the difference between all-purpose and self-rising?
all-purpose has no leavening agent in it. It really is just bleached ground wheat. For my knowledge base, self-rising flour has baking soda or baking powder. We call it baking powder. It may have both. And baking soda, baking powder is not too far off from one another. But I believe it's just the addition of baking powder and maybe a little salt.
If all you have is all-purpose flour, you can add baking powder.
That's it. Yeah.
To that and make self-rising flour.
That's all you're doing.
Is that correct?
Is add baking powder. Just don't get baking powder that's in the back of the cabinet you've had for 4 years.
Use some fresh because you're gonna have to. It's gonna have to be active, right?
It's gonna have to be active. That's right.
Okay.
You need that's pretty lean chicken sausage.
Yeah, we need some fat in there now.
You need a little bit of butter in there.
Oh yeah.
So we're gonna brown that off, y'all. I think I usually measure this out for a big skillet. I usually cook this in like a 12-inch skillet when I fill it up, and this fills it up. So I made the batch for a 12-inch skillet, even though we're only using a 10-inch. So we're gonna have a little left over tomorrow, and that is fine because I like to take my leftover biscuit dough and make it into a big old thing and make me like a bun, and I'll make me a biscuit sandwich like with some fried bologna the next day.
Okay. that sounds like it's gonna be Good Friday more than once, right?
So you're gonna figure out how much it takes to fill your skillet. An iron skillet's the way to go. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
You can use a pan if you want, but the iron skillet is the ticket. We're using number 8, or I guess about a 10.5-inch iron skillet. I just put it back in there to heat it up. I dropped some butter, about a half a stick in our iron skillet, just to kind of get it going. I like to make sure the skillet's got some heat on it because it helps promote. Oh yeah, it helps promote the.
God, that's warm.
It's hot. You need to double that thing up.
I kind of felt that over here.
So you don't want your butter completely brown, y'all, but it's melted and it's just starting. I don't want it completely brown, but I want it melted. So we're gonna set this. I'm gonna set over here on my wood, y'all, because the granite. If you didn't know that granite sucks the heat out of stuff and sucks the cold out of stuff. If you want to thaw something, put it on your granite countertop.
I didn't know that.
Oh Lord! If you want to thaw something faster, set it on your granite. It'll thaw it twice as fast. But if conversely, if you put something hot on granite, it's going to suck the heat right out of it.
Wow. Okay.
So if you want to keep it hot, keep it off the granite.
Okay.
So, yo, we're going to whoop these up real quick. This is 4 cups of flour, all self-rising flour, white lily. We used unsalted butter, so I added a little bit of salt, and then I took 1 stick of. I had unsalted butter, and you put it in the freezer, get it nice and cold, and then you grate it on your cheese grater. Now, they make biscuit cutters where you can just put pats in there and you can cut it into the flour manually, and that works. But I found if you freeze it, it gives you a lot smaller pieces, so it's better distribution of all your butter, and it's just real simple and easy. Most people have one, but if not, you can drop pats of butter in here and take a couple of forks and just mash them out and mash that through the fork, and it'll create small bits of flour through that as well. So 1 stick of butter, 4 cups of flour, and I'm gonna show y'all that I don't measure my buttermilk. It seems to be different every time. I quit measuring. And we're just going to drop a little bit of flour on here. I cleaned it off. And we're going to just make a little well on the bottom of this. And I'm just going to start kind of stirring it around.
Yeah, my grandmother just did that to how it looked.
And that's really what I do.
And how it looked and how it felt, you know?
And it's hard to take it off, but you can just add a little bit more at a time, y'all. And we're just going to stir this. And they tell you not to overwork it. And that's true. But this biscuit, I find, I can work it plenty to make sure everything's nice and wet without worrying about getting it tough. And they tell you not to overwork it because your biscuits get tough.
Wow.
I find if you use enough butter,
Yeah.
they don't get tough.
I can smell that buttermilk.
Yes.
For sure.
So add a little bit at a time, y'all, to make sure that everything is incorporated and mixed in there. And mine's usually a little bit wet toward the end to make sure that everything's incorporated really well. And that's kind of what it looks like, y'all. So I'll come in here and I'll throw another little bit on top. And I make mine a little wet because once I throw it on the countertop and I throw a little bit of flour on top of it, it needs to be a little wet. Otherwise, it winds up getting too dry.
Now, I just keep this sausage in here, or we want to cut this down a little bit, or what do you want to do?
It's pretty brown. You're doing pretty good now.
Okay.
So you turn it back down to about medium.
Okay. I
And
just didn't want it to.
have you got it brown the way you want it? Is it nice and
Well,
brown?
I got it brown the way you want it.
Man, hey, all I gotta do is brown is brown. In my
All
book.
right, let's go.
So what we're gonna do, y'all, is we're just gonna take.
There's not a whole lot of fat in there.
It don't
Even
need a
with
whole
that
lot.
butter.
Don't
Okay.
need a whole lot. Stir that around, incorporate that real good into that sausage.
Okay.
Y'all can measure all this if you want. I ain't a measure.
It's a.
We ain't making no cakes.
Hey, it looks good, you know.
And here's the deal. You put too much flour in this right now, you're going to have to add a whole half gallon of milk.
Yeah.
So just kind of bust those up a little bit. Let me see, I got something for you.
Yeah, I was thinking to say, don't you have one of those little
Mash.
X things or something?
Look here. These are pretty handy if you ain't got one of these.
My wife has one of them. And it's good for this.
So, anyway, I got on this kick of making these biscuits until I figured it out. And once I figured it out, then we kind of quit eating biscuits. We
Really?
quit eating bread as much and rice and all that stuff as much.
Oh, you got on the keto.
We got on it for a little bit, and we just kind of got in the groove of it. But I love biscuits, man. I just absolutely love them. They're one of my favorite things in the world.
My wife said she wouldn't be too angry if I brought her a biscuit home tonight.
I bet she would. You start touching this stuff, y'all, make sure you get a little flour on your hands. Otherwise, you're going to have it stuck all to your hands.
This little tool is also good for, like, if you're cooking taco meat, you know what I'm saying? Breaking up some ground beef. This is really good for that.
All right, what we're doing, y'all, is making sausage gravy. And so that's why we put that in there. And you're going to start to see this flour that went into this sausage start to brown just a little bit. Now, if you're making traditional gravy, you're dropping that same flour into some grease or some fat, lard, oil, whatever. And then you have to stir that and cook it. Because if you don't, you just got grease and flour.
Yeah.
Just like making toast. If you just throw your bread into the toaster and put it on number 1 and pull it out, it's just hot white bread.
That's right.
If it toasts it, then it changes the flavor. So here, same thing here. You want to taste the flour cooked. You want the
That was my nickname in high school.
What's that?
Hot white bread.
So you definitely want to make sure you cook your flour so that it tastes like roux and doesn't taste like just flour and milk. It's got to have the right flavor. Same thing if you're making toast. You don't want hot white bread. You
Yeah.
want toast. And you brown it, and it changes the flavor.
There was a lot of people that didn't want hot white bread.
So, so here's the deal, y'all. Turn this out. Just got a little flour on it. Oh, hey,
Hey,
careful.
Sorry.
So I made this ball here, y'all. And I'm just gonna pound this out. I say pound it. I'm just gonna flatten it out. I'm gonna put a little bit of flour on here.
Live TV, they say.
And then we're gonna fold that over one time. And then I'm gonna flip it, and then I'm gonna fold it over this way. And make sure I keep a little flour in between, because that's what helps with them layers.
All right.
And I'm gonna give it a turn. And I like to fold it a few times. Make sure that I've got a little flour.
So that's when you bake these, that's how you get those flaky layers in between, right?
I like to make sure there's a little flour. The fat in it helps with that.
Yeah.
And then folding this over, and that's the same way that you would make, if you would, say you're gonna make croissants. You're gonna roll a pastry dough out, and you're gonna put butter, and then you're gonna fold it over, and then you're gonna roll it out again, and you're gonna put butter, and you're gonna fold it over, and you're gonna layer folds with butter, and that's what's gonna create those layers and puff up.
I got you.
So now, if this is cooking, he's getting it brown and he's got it incorporated. You want to cook that flour and you want to make sure it's incorporated with that sausage. So keep stirring that around real good. And then here in a minute, we're going to start adding our milk.
Okay.
We're going to add a little seasoning. We got a little sweet Swan of mine Texas beef, because a good sausage gravy needs black pepper.
That's right.
And this will help as well with the salt and the black pepper. And it's got some garlic and onion and all that goodie in there.
That just completely changed the smell of this.
Yep. Now as that starts to cook, once we got a good brown color to our flour, we're gonna add the milk. But here's the whole key, y'all. When you start adding milk, we're gonna turn the heat up all the way, because you're adding cold milk. You gotta stir this pretty regular. Not as bad as if you were just putting it into fat. If you're putting it into fat, you gotta agitate it the whole time so it'll pump up. And this is something else that's not measured. We do it to look. Yeah. And we're going to stir it and add it and stir it and add it. And as it heats up, it's going to thicken. Yeah. And you're going to keep adding a little bit. And then essentially we're going to get it just a little thinner than what we want to serve it at. And as it cools, it's going to thicken. That's right. So
it's going to look good on a biscuit.
That's right. That's right. We want it flowable.
Now, let me ask you something. I might be weird on this. I know some other people do this. Now, do you put gravy on your eggs?
If it touches, it doesn't bother me. I don't necessarily cover my eggs, but it doesn't bother me if it touches.
Okay.
A little bit of yolk running into my gravy don't hurt my feelings.
No, I mean, my grandmother's gravy, I would put it on top of my eggs. I wanted it on top of my eggs.
So, depending on what you're cooking, I mean, depending on your preference as to how thick you like the products you found in the cow out there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, I don't like a super thick biscuit. Not so tall. If I want to make a sandwich, it don't work. Yeah. I like a good one though that's gonna be a couple inches tall.
Okay.
So I usually start mine out somewhere in the neighborhood of around, I don't know, half to 3/4 inch, probably 3/4 inch or so.
And then rise.
And then they're gonna rise in that pan. So I'm just pressing them out, and you can see right there. See all them little bits of butter in there?
Cold butter in there. I got you.
So, y'all, you can use anything to cut your biscuits, but try to use something that's kind of halfway sharp. You push down the sides, and it mashes the sides down, and it keeps them from rising properly. Yeah. So you want something that's going to cut a better cross section so it rises better. So now you can go ahead and get ready to start adding your flour. Okay. And get your stirrer, your spoon, and start stirring that.
All right.
And
so we got some.
Crank it up and start stirring.
So some whole milk.
And I'm gonna cut biscuits, y'all. So I'm gonna drop that in there, and I'm gonna cut.
Hey, I'm watching the live chat over here. If somebody wants to tell me like who made biscuits, like did your grandmother make biscuits? Tell me who made biscuits in your life. Where did you learn, or maybe you want to learn?
What kind of flour you like?
Yeah, that's right.
Like you don't have to use buttermilk. Buttermilk just gives this a tangy flavor, and you know it's just a traditional Southern flavor of a buttermilk biscuit. But you can use regular milk.
All right, so
keep on adding. Just go on and add. Okay. Keep going. Keep on adding. 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 There you go.
Right there.
Yeah, let that in kind of incorporate a little bit.
Okay.
So y'all, I got 2, 4, 6 biscuits. I think I'm gonna need around 8 or so for this pan. You can, depending on how you cut it out. What have I got? 2, 4, 6. Wait, 2,
10.
4, 6, 8. I got 10 biscuits.
Yeah, I was saying.
How did I count that?
I don't know. He had pulled his shoes off.
So here's something that I think is important, y'all. When I get ready to put these in the skillet, my grandma always took block biscuits out of the can and she would put them into bacon grease and then she would flip them back over so that both sides had grease on them. And that made a nice brown, crispy crust on them.
Okay.
So that's,
You've intrigued me there.
my buddy Steve, he come over here and that's the way he does it and his biscuits are great. So I'm gonna put these in there and I'm gonna flip them over. About a half a stick of butter in here. And I'm gonna drop these in there and flip them over. And I'm gonna drop and flip them over. And we're gonna push them together, y'all, so that they rise better. If they're oh, that looks good. If they're touching, they're gonna rise better. If you've got high sides on your skillet, they're gonna rise better.
Yeah. And you get more crusty edges, right?
You get lots of crusty edges with all this butter.
I'm talking about more it touching the cast iron skillet.
Oh yeah. And so this is
Let's
gonna
see.
make
Mark reminds me of my dad standing at the stove in his overalls making biscuits and gravy. That's who taught me. Wonderful.
all right, y'all. So
Is
look,
that Connie Stiegel? Oh, hey Connie, how are you?
in this deal we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 biscuits. I've got a little extra dough here, and that's okay. We're just gonna save this for tomorrow morning.
This gravy.
These, y'all, are ready to go into the red box. We've got the red box sitting on about 400 degrees, and that's what they look like. Buttered on both sides with a little bit of extra butter. See that butter?
Ooh.
They kind of swimming in it, to be honest with you, y'all. And that's okay. That's what you
Women
want.
in it, he said.
And they going on the top rack in this red box. This 10.5-inch skillet fits perfect.
Yeah. Have you met Connie?
Oh yeah.
Connie puts out some good looking food. I'm telling you.
Well, Jenny, her sister, lives right down the road from us.
Oh, okay.
Right down the road
Okay.
here in Bayou, Mississippi.
Look at this gravy right here.
Look at it coming on. See that?
Ooh, wee.
If you don't have one of these little board scrapers, you can use just whatever. This just helps to make it easy to clean this up. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn this. I'm just gonna keep stretching it and turn it into a little ball. And the more I stretch this, it's gonna make a smooth surface. And I'm gonna add a little extra flour to it because I don't want it sticking. And I'm gonna take this dude. I gotta figure out where I was going. There it is. And I'm just gonna make a nice smooth top. And this is gonna go in the fridge and see if it over thickens on you. Add a little more milk.
That's right.
Don't worry about it. I'm gonna pull a little film. I got a little food service film.
Oh.
And y'all, I just got a little bit of food service film and I'm just gonna set it in the fridge just like that.
Man, you sound a little like Justin Wilson right there.
Just like that. That's
Just
what
like that. Man, that was the first cooking show I ever watched. You watch that?
He said we're gonna make for a treat.
For a tree biscuits. I guarantee.
I guarantee.
Tea.
He said I always cooks with wine. Sometimes I even put it into food.
He was a personality, wasn't he?
Yes, yes. Now, you're right. That and Julia Child, some of the first cooking shows ever. Now see
Yeah.
how that's thickening up?
So you think I ought to put some more milk?
Add you a little more milk. Because as that stuff evaporates and it cooks, there you go. It's gonna thicken a little more as it evaporates.
So, guys, while we got a little time here, I want to say thank you for all that have viewed and watched the steak and sheepdog special last week. It has over 250 views right now. That's pretty good for a live YouTube. And so we're steadily trying to build this thing. Mark just got over 1,000 not too long ago on his YouTube channel. So that is how you can YouTube live, mobile YouTube live. And so we had this idea of having some kind of like, podcast, but not really a podcast. Maybe like a live question and answer, but not really, but like with food. Because me and Mark like to cook when we get together and talk about how things used to be done. And so that's how kind of old school with Mark and Ashley was born.
Mm-hmm. You see how some of your flour is up on the top? Just
So I need to run that spoon around.
Run that spoon around, knock all your flour down, all your seasoning, 'cause it'll accumulate up there.
Yeah. It'll get in there, won't it?
Knock all that down. And y'all, that is the biscuit right there. Now I'm gonna tell you, it's probably a 17-minute biscuit somewhere in there. Red box is running 400 degrees right now. We get it on top rack, and I'm just gonna kind of watch them. I'm figuring somewhere about 16, 17 minutes. It may take a hair more, may take a hair less. You know what? They done when they done.
I know he's not going to give a plug for himself, but that little red box is the most versatile thing I've got at my house. And you need one at your house and on your back porch. And if you don't want to feel like firing up the oven, cook you a cake in that dude. Cook you some biscuits in that dude.
Cookies.
Anything. It's been done.
It's a little portable oven.
That's right.
And we've got it running with B&B char logs right now.
That's right.
I think I started it with maybe 6, and I added 2 more little old half pieces.
Yeah.
Just because that iron skillet was kind of sucking the life out of the fire. And I knew when I put them biscuits in there, it's going to need a little more love. So
Yeah.
I added a couple more, and it ain't even running anymore. But that fan would kick on a minute when I put them cold biscuits in there.
That's right.
So we're running that. This gravy is just about right, y'all. It's got the bubbliness to it. It's a little on the thin side,
So,
but that's what you want.
yeah.
Now you could probably cut it all the way off now.
And let it just thicken up a little bit.
It'll
Keep it-
thicken up, and then right
Keep it
when we
stirred
get
off
ready
the
to-
bottom. We'll warm it back up.
Yeah, when the biscuits get done, we'll fire it right back up, and we'll serve it right off of that.
I got you. Now you were going to get your truck,
Mm-hmm.
but I was going to contemplate something with you.
We're done.
How about we have a product? How about we have a product that we feature this week, and if they say something about it they come to you and say something. Hey, I saw this on Old School, then they get a 10% discount.
Yeah.
On that, like a rub. Let's pick a rub or something that we can highlight today. We can talk about, and then we can.
We're gonna call that. That's gonna be Texas beef.
Okay. Texas beef is awesome.
I could have called it seasonal. I could have called it all purpose.
He told me one time, he said, it's so good on eggs, I could have called it Oklahoma egg, but it just didn't sound as
It didn't
good
have
as
the same
Texas
ring to
beef.
it. Somebody said, well, you from Texas? I went, au contraire. I said, you look at my birth certificate, it says Texarkana, Texas.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
So, it's
But
bona
he
fide.
is from Oklahoma.
Yeah, I
Yes.
grew up in Oklahoma, but I was born in Texas, so it's bona fide.
God.
But, most of all my upbringing is in Oklahoma.
That's right.
So, yeah, if you come to me and you say, hey, I saw your YouTube video and y'all using that Texas beef, and you want some, and we'll give you the old, we'll give you a 15% discount.
15?
Yep.
All right. So make sure to say you saw it on Old School with Mark and Ashley, and you get a 15% discount on a bottle of Texas beef. And I'm going to tell you, put it on your hamburgers, put it on your steak. I run it on my SCA steak. Put it on your eggs, because that's what we're about to do here in a little while. We're going to fry some eggs to go with this biscuits and gravy, and we're going to throw some Texas beef on there.
Sounds like they have a crank up the volume contest across the way. I hear boom, boom, boom.
Jim Hudgens said give him a call when you get done with this.
All right. So yeah, Texas beef, y'all, is good. I use it with white lightning and that on a brisket. I use it on burgers. I use it on meatloaf. I use it on eggs. It's pretty good all-purpose seasoning. It has rendered beef fat in it.
Yeah.
Salt, pepper, onion, garlic. paprika, all that kind of stuff after that. But the rendered beef fat really adds a lot to it.
How did, without giving away the farm, how did you come up with that? Like, you knew that's what you wanted, that flavor?
Man, not really. There's a couple of my recipes that have come from other people, just like Wilsonshire came from Joe Wilson.
Yeah.
Texas beef and apple chipotle actually came from Mark Krigler out in Arizona.
Okay.
Mark
The salsa
Krigler,
man.
yeah, he's got he had an apple chipotle rub that he made, and he had a Texas beef rub that he made, just out of stuff that he found online and kind of adjusted. And Mark's always one of them kind of guys that writes stuff down, keeps it on a thumb drive, saves it, and prints it out and shares it.
Yeah.
And I like.
Kind of like the chicken sausage.
That's where, I mean, yeah. And a lot of stuff comes from Mark. He does a lot of cooking, and but he shares it and he saves it. And you know, in his book, that's what it's for. You can't share it, ain't no good. So,
That's right.
he had this Texas beef rub, and it was good, and the apple chipotle was good. So we ordered all the ingredients that he used to make that stuff from our co-packer, Old World Spices and Seasoning.
Yeah.
We ordered all of their stuff, and of course, when we made it according to that recipe with their stuff, it didn't come out right.
Okay.
Because it just wasn't the same stuff that he always
That he
used.
used, that's right.
So we had to adjust it. We had to adjust it to match the seasonings that they're going to use to pack it with. And then we had to make a few tweaks and turns to make it just right. And then it didn't have the rendered beef fat in it. We had
I'm
added
behind
that
you.
to
I'm
it.
getting to test this thing.
We added that to the rendered beef fat. Outside of the rendered beef fat, it's pretty where it needs to. We're pretty much the same as Mark made it.
Yeah.
The roasted garlic, it came from my original rub when I was at the American Royal one year, and we had to tweak it for a brisket rub. What about it? What does it need? My taster is only about 20% right now. I had COVID, y'all, and my taster hadn't come back all the way. Pretty legit,
It is.
from what I can tell.
It is pretty legit.
That passes the legitness test.
It does. Me and Mark can say this thing where it passes the legitness test instead of. So it's legit, y'all. And this is gonna be some good gravy on a biscuit. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
It'll be right on time. Hey,
Somebody said you stirring the hell out of that gravy.
Hey, man.
Well, hey man.
What am I gonna do with these?
I don't know what to do with my hands if I ain't stirring gravy. I think we're good with the milk though. I'm gonna put that back
You
in the
might need a
fridge.
little more.
You think so?
You might when you heat it back up.
Yeah, I
You
might
might.
need to thin it out, huh?
Keep it handy. That's the thing about when you get ready to make your gravy. Cook your sausage, put your flour in it, have your milk handy because, especially if you're not using the sausage and you're just putting flour into hot grease, when that flour gets the right color you want it, you don't want to be running over and getting your milk out of the refrigerator
That's right.
because that's going to turn
You got
back
seconds.
quick.
Yeah.
So then you're going to add your milk, and when you're adding it to roux, you want to make sure and add it away from you. So if it splashes, you don't get grease on you. But as you add it, as you're adding it just to grease, you want to agitate it the whole time. So best thing is to use a big fork, or you can use like a coated whisk, something that's not going to slosh a lot.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have to agitate it as you add in that milk. Because if you don't, it's going to clump up. If you don't cook the flour enough, it's going to clump up. Yeah. Those are the couple things. Those are your pitfalls. Not cooking your flour enough. One, it doesn't taste right, and two, it clumps up. And two, adding that milk and getting it to where you can incorporate it all before it gets hot. Because when it heats up, that's what activates and gets it.
That's right.
To start sticking together. That activates the gluten.
So I didn't know I was turning it too much.
You ain't. Somebody just had to say, you know.
Something.
Oh, yeah. I noticed it, but hey, you gotta do something with your hands.
I gotta do something with my hands.
But what is it?
I
There's
think
nobody out there.
Is somebody's car alarm going on?
No, they're booming somewhere across the way.
Oh, okay. But man, we had a good time and a good turnout again for Steaks and Sheepdogs video last week, and we got our prizes out to everybody, I think. And thanks to people that were watching, and might have to give something away today.
Hey, we might have to do it.
Yeah.
I think, I got a couple new hats we might do.
Okay.
Look.
Oh goodness, y'all are in for a treat with those.
So I made something else good the other night. we went to a crawfish boil on Saturday, and of course when we got done, everybody was playing beer pong and this and that and the other. I was getting kind of bored, so I went and got some extra crawfish and peeled them. Saved my heads, have my crawfish tails over here.
I ain't never peeled crawfish I didn't eat.
Well, I was loaded up to here with them.
Yeah.
I had done it all I could.
If I ate all I could eat, I don't feel like peeling no more.
Yeah. We was having a good time, and all the wife and everybody was enjoying the fellowship. So
Yeah.
I peeled and put them in a pan and took them to the house.
Yeah.
So one of the things that to us is old school is stock, right?
Yeah.
We're going to talk to you about stock many different times and making different things. And stock is a key component of good stews, gravies, soups. Somebody crawfish stew, but the first thing you do is take your crawfish heads and boil them down.
Okay.
So with some onions, celery, you can use carrots if you want, but typically I used onions, celery, and bell pepper and fresh parsley.
It's got a lot of good stuff in there.
And not just cooking the flavor out of the heads. So I cooked the flavor out of the heads, just put it in the fridge overnight. I got a commercial fridge with a fan.
Yeah.
And then the next day, I looked up Justin Wilson's cookbook, and he had a recipe for a Lazy Man crawfish bisque.
I guarantee he did.
So he makes a crawfish stew. It's not really a bisque. But he makes a stew, and then instead of stuffing the heads like you normally do with bisque with the stuffing, he makes a loaf.
Okay.
And then so it's essentially a crawfish stew. I added some cream and a little bit of sherry to kind of give it that same little bit of a bisque flavor profile.
Okay.
But it's more of a rich stew. You make a brew just like you're making the gravy.
Yeah.
You add your onions, celery, parsley, bell pepper, all of that, just like you're gonna add that stuff to a roux when you're making a gumbo.
Okay.
Add your crawfish tails and then your cold stock, and then hot sauce and a little bit of lemon for taste, and it make a really good little crawfish stew. You know, it's kind of like a smothered crawfish stew.
Yeah.
And then I added some cream and some cherry to kind of give it a little bisque to it. And then the loaf that he had is in his cookbook. You can probably look it up, Justin Wilson, Lazy Man Crawfish Bisque. Is eggs, ground up crawfish. I just put it in a food processor, ground it, and did the tails, onions, celery, parsley, bell pepper, egg, and just pulsed it in them. And then added seasoned breadcrumbs and made a loaf and baked it off.
Man, that sounds good.
So then he says the way he serves it with rice and a slice of loaf with hot stew. So,
All right.
So while them are cooking, I'm gonna heat you up with something.
Okay. Woo! That's what I was hoping he was gonna say. When we got through with all this, that he had me some of that, cause he had done got me thinking about it. Crawfish, Lazy Man crawfish bisque, or
Yeah.
crawfish stew with loaf.
John, you want some, don't you?
John's in. John Dawson is in our studio audience tonight. Live studio audience. I always want to say that, where I was the host of something where I was like, now our live studio audience.
Going to you live.
We're going to you live from Studio B.
And by hell you play.
In Byhalia, Mississippi. Can you freeze your biscuits? Dusty asked.
I have never done it. You probably can. Haven't done it.
I've never let a biscuit sit around. No.
There's that loaf I was telling you about.
Oh my goodness.
It's a highly seasoned piece of crawfish goodness.
Can I just try that by itself?
You can. It's pretty stout, but you can.
That little nugget that came off right there.
It's real herbaceous and strong.
Uh-huh.
It's meant to pinch off just a little bit with your spoon as you're eating it,
Really good.
isn't it?
My goodness. So this is in Justin Wilson's cookbook?
It's in his cookbook. He's probably got a couple different cookbooks. It's got a red cover. I can't remember. Down Home with Justin Wilson or something like
I
that.
need to get that.
And you know, typically regular crawfish bisque, you don't have rice, but Cajuns eat everything with rice.
Yes, right.
So a slice of that there loaf
In there.
goes in there. And we're just gonna heat this up in the microwave, y'all. We ain't getting real crazy.
Yeah.
And then we got our bisque.
He called me the other night or texted me the other night when he was cooking this. And I was out with my wife. He said, man, come get some of this. And I'm like, well, let me get home and I'll see how. And it was that night, it was storming real bad. And I was like, well, take some to the warehouse. I'll pick it up. And so I was hoping it was still here. Because when people, I know you did. When people start coming to the warehouse, you know, they'll find little stashes everywhere, and you know, stuff end up being gone sometimes.
They're like, what's this?
Yeah, what's this? Especially good stuff. Oh, that was something I was saving for Ashley. Oh, he won't mind. So that's going to be in the microwave for a minute. It looks like this has tightened up a good bit. So when we warm that up, we're going to be...
That's why you keep, until you serve it, keep the milk on the table.
Connie says she freezes her biscuits all the time. And then she takes them out and cooks them as she needs them.
I don't know why. Oh, you freezes the dough.
Freeze them before they cook.
Oh, like she's freezing the dough.
Freezing the dough. Like already pats them, cuts them out, pats them out. Like pills, you know, you can go get the grand frozen biscuits out of the bag.
Or Mary B's or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. That's right. So before you cook them, I had it in my head after.
I mean, we like to show you how to do stuff, but also those grand biscuits in the back, they're pretty legit. You know.
Mary B's, Grand, Pillsbury's.
Like, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that I can make a better roll than Sister Schubert. That's not. I mean, I could eat a bag of those.
I can eat a bag of Sister Schubert's.
You just need Sister Schubert's and some butter, and that's a pretty good. That's a pretty
I like
good
the ones with the little smokies wrapped up in the
Oh,
Sister Schubert.
goodness gracious! Yeah.
So, all right, the other gravies coming down the pipe are going to be. We did a pan gravy the other day with chicken fried steak on my YouTube channel.
Okay. That was good.
It was legit. And then, so we're going to do a chocolate gravy. We're going to do
tomato gravy. Yeah.
We're going to do a sweet tea gravy.
Sweet tea gravy.
To go on chicken.
Okay.
And we're
fried chicken?
On fried chicken with some cornmeal waffles.
Oh, good.
Sweet tea gravy.
Goodness.
Yes.
That gives me the chills.
We're still live.
Okay.
Somebody just called and this thing's on Do Not Disturb.
I don't know how airplane mode and Do Not Disturb still allows for a phone call.
That was Alan Smith. Y'all know Alan Smith. You tell him, don't call me back just yet.
Don't he know we in the middle of something? Alan! He says, while we're on the can you freeze topic, how about a corned ham?
A corned ham. Define.
Sleeper Barbecue, would you please define corned ham?
To me, corning is brining and or curing. It is a curing process, what I call it.
That's
so
right.
To me, ham is corned by the nature of
the nature of it being
cured.
Ham is already corned, right?
Now, that don't start saying stuff about uncured and this and that and the other, uncured bacon and that and the other, because there ain't no such animal. Now, uncured people call it without using the definition of uncured ham or uncured bacon is the preservation of that with naturally ground celery juice.
Yeah.
Because it has nitrites in it naturally occurring.
Yeah.
But instead of using sodium nitrite out of a shaker, you use the celery juice and it cures it. They call that uncured. Well, I'm tell you, you're curing it either way.
Yeah.
Call it natural or call it, unnatural. It's cured. And you're doing it with the same kind of stuff. Sodium nitrite. Yeah. Naturally occurring or processed. It doesn't matter. So when we make pastrami the other day, it's cured, but we used pink salt, which is frog powder or cure number 2. And we use a pre-mixed sugar cure, which is curing salt, brown sugar, and spices for bacon. We rub it on dry and then we soak it. So, to me, corned and cured is kind of the same thing. Corned beef is cured brisket or beef navel plate or whatever.
Hey, Don Diesel has a issue, but it's with a shipping issue with Sweet Swine of Mine. So I'll let you answer that.
Email me, Don.
Yeah, Don. Email Mark at ssomd.com.
Yeah,
and he'll be glad to help you during that way.
Post office and FedEx right now, things are
Kind of shaky.
a little shaky right now with them.
Yeah. I think it's taking 2 weeks to get your bill, and that's past the day it's due. Right now, you might get your bill and it's due today. So
Look, I got a Christmas card on January 29th.
get out of here.
From, and I can't remember who it was from. It seemed like it's from TK.
Okay. From Little Rock, Arkansas to Bahia, Mississippi, it took a month. We're gonna have to go back to Pony Express maybe.
Pigeon.
Carrier pigeons or something. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
So John, what's your take on biscuits? So what do you do? What's who taught you? How kind of biscuit you like?
Well, I mean, I like homemade biscuits, but
Is it a thing for you? Is it something you crave, or is it something you knew somebody that made good ones, or no?
oh yeah, grandmother always made good biscuits.
Yeah.
Go to her house and get that sausage gravy.
So when I was growing up, we never had sausage gravy. We just always had pan gravy
Yeah.
and sausage patties.
That's right.
But past 15 years or so, sausage gravy became a thing for me.
I don't think we ever ground up sausage, put it in gravy. I think we just had, after we fried all our breakfast meats, we used that grease to make the gravy.
Right.
You
We did the same thing with hamburger steak.
That's right.
We took hamburger steak and the grease that came out of the hamburger was set aside. We made a roux. We made gravy. Now, sometimes it would be milk. If we had some like beef stock left over from some making a stew or a soup, then we'd use some onions and some of that. So
I was talking to Joseph Wilson the other morning, and he said that he considered anything that was wet would be gravy, if it was in an eating situation. And he said, kind of like dinosaur gravy when we cooked the dinosaur that he brought over.
it had the strawberry jam coming out of it.
Not everybody's in the know about that. What was that? What was that? Sandhill crane?
Sandhill crane.
Sandhill crane. This man brought this stuff over here. From Kansas? Oh my gosh! I'm seeing these biscuits over here. This man brought this over here from where? Kansas? Somewhere? They were killed in Kansas? I don't know. Sandhill crane. That's the first time I'd ever had it, but look at them biscuits. Good gravy.
Smell that?
Oh, they just buttery.
I'm gonna show you something.
Look at that. You see how that just picked up out of
They
there?
separated themselves.
Oh,
They hot.
man, all that needs is, hold on.
Now, Mark, I'm gonna tell you,
Fire that back up.
Sunday, I've got to cook over 200 of them, but I'm not gonna do them. I'm gonna cheat.
Don't blame me if I'm cooking 200.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd go to Restaurant Depot and get me a box of them Pillsbury's. And they good. That's what I usually do for church. And Lord, this COVID, I am missing cooking for my church family. We usually have sunrise Easter breakfast every year. And I didn't get to do it last year, and we're not doing it again this year. And I have just missed being able to cook for my church family. It is just, we're
Well-
ready for all this to get back to somewhat normal.
Well, actually, we're not having a breakfast, but I am doing 200 sausage, egg, and cheese biscuits.
I hear you, buddy. 200 sausage, egg, and cheese biscuits. Wow. So, yeah, we have a big kitchen at our church, and so I'd cook biscuits and eggs and bacon and sausage. Man, we'd have a good time. Everybody would really enjoy that. Can't wait to get back to that.
So, I don't know about y'all.
Well, James, you can come to First to Band and get your sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit.
Yeah. Hey man, Jim, we'll get you started coming to church. If If it takes me feeding you for you to meet the Lord, I'm good with it, brother. I'll feed anybody.
Hey, actually, I think since that's ready and the gravy's almost hot, I'm gonna fire us up a couple of eggs.
Okay. Some of them yard bird pimp.
Now, Mark, do you want the camera over or just?
No, I mean,
Okay.
you can pick it up, bring it over if you want to. It's
No, I just didn't know if you wanted.
I'm just, man, I think fried eggs is something that everybody's got their own little take on.
Yeah. Hey, here's you some Texas beef or some
You know I gotta have that.
Oklahoma egg, brother. We're getting this gravy thinned back out. It was it had thickened up a little bit. I added a little bit more milk, and so we're on the good side of it now.
You think it's gonna make it?
I don't know. Put me a little bit in
Gotta have a little bit more.
Yeah.
We're gonna close the service, so.
My grandmother would be so proud of me. Stir that gravy, boy. Breakfast was always our favorite meal at our house.
Absolutely, it's still my favorite.
I like breakfast for dinner. You know, man, breakfast for supper was just always.
That was a treat.
That was awesome.
Because bacon is a treat. No
Yeah.
matter when you have it.
Anytime you're frying bacon at the house, it's good stuff, man.
You know, breakfast is one of our #1 meals on Wednesday night at
Really?
First Evan.
Yeah.
Taco salad, I think, is #1
Y'all feed your church every
on Wednesday night.
Good deal.
Well, we haven't in over a year. But,
Yeah.
But yeah,
There's a lot of places a lot of churches that do that.
yeah, we
Longview Heights, up on Goodman does that.
Them eggs is almost ready, y'all.
Okay. This gravy is about there again.
So, let me just tell you, you're gonna be full when you leave here. 'Cause there's crawfish stew and gravy biscuit with eggs.
Well, this is what I've been wanting. This is what I've been waiting on all day.
All right, well, here's how you do it, y'all. Take your fork and stick down in the side and lay that dude open. Like as such.
mm,
And then, you're going to ease over here and you need some of the gravy.
Oh my goodness. Uh-oh. He said, Sleeper Barbecue say it's basically a fresh ham salt cured. That's what he would say.
Okay, so dry salt cured.
Dry salt cured. Man. Get on out of here.
Bring that up.
All right. Off camera for a minute.
Because it's on, our season is on the bottom side at this point.
Okay.
Let's
So,
slide that. Is that off at this point?
yeah, I turned it off. Ooh, milk.
Now add a little bit more milk into that right there.
Okay.
Just because it's still hot and it's evaporating quicker. John, come out here and eat with us.
All right, I'm gonna take some more. I'm gonna take some more Texas beef, and I'm just gonna sprinkle over the top of mine right there like that, because I
Good.
like Texas beef. How's everybody?
Look at that. That dude right there is right.
Oh my goodness. All right. Let's
say a little
say a little
let's say
prayer.
thanks.
Our gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we just thank you for this day, and we thank you for this time together. And Lord, just thank you for these friends and this fellowship. Lord, just touch everybody that's watching. And Lord, just thank you for this Easter week. And thank you for this food. And Lord, just thank you for giving us a Savior. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
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 All right, y'all. This is a,
We're gonna try a little biscuit gravy here.
and it's got, you're gonna about need a knife when you do it this way, because it's,
Yeah, those biscuits have a good crust.
They got
on
a
the
crust.
bottom.
and you might need to add more gravy. But Lord have mercy. So you can take
Oh,
and nick that little yolk right there. Let that run down in amongst the
Yeah.
gravy.
let that congregate up in there. Oh, that biscuit is so buttery, dude.
Oh man, tell me, that cold grated butter gets all through there.
And then just dripping those biscuits in that butter on both sides
Mm-hmm.
kind of changes the game a little bit.
Gets it crusty. Gets that butter flavor all